friends, what's up? My name is Joss and welcome back to Squibblesreads. Over the past 2 weeks since I posted my last book haul, I have somehow managed to accumulate quite a few more books because my library has recently been really awesome. So as per usual, I picked up some of these from the library, some of them I bought myself, and some of them were sent to me by publishers. So let's get into it. If you guys remember from my last haul, I did purchase My Brilliant Friend by Elena Ferrante. I still haven't gotten to it because of Genreathon, but I'll probably read it before May. But anyways, when I went to the library, I picked up Troubling Love, also by Elena Ferrante. It is a short novella. It's about 200 pages. It's about a woman named Delia who is finding out some more information about her mother's final days through a series of phone calls, and similarly, it is also set in Naples. I'm a sucker for beautiful covers, so this next book definitely has one, and it is called The Unfinished World by Amber Sparks, and it is a collection of short stories. They're kind of hard to describe, but they're a little bit bizarre and otherworldly in a good way. They pull on magical realism and some horror elements, and from what I have seen, they kind of remind people of Kelly Link and Amy Bender, who I love. Also from the library, I grabbed the new and improved Romy Futch by Julia Elliott. It is a literary fiction Southern Gothic novel about a man who is middle-aged, kind of has like put on some weight, doesn't have a ton of motivation to do anything or really go to work. His name is Romy Futch, and in order to pay his mortgage, he is actually signed up to be a subject in an experiment. This research takes place at the Center for Cybernetic Neuroscience, where the researchers can basically download books and information into his brain. I know that Mercedes from Mercy's Bookish Musings, whose opinions I really trust, this is one of her favorite books of 2016, so I had to grab it when I saw it on the shelves of the library. This next book is historical fiction, which I have been loving lately. It is called Georgia by Dawn Tripp. It is based on the life of the painter Georgia O'Keeffe, and it narrates her story moving from Texas to New York and her struggles finding work as an artist. Also, she meets and falls in love with a man called Alfred Stieglitz, who is a married art gallery owner and a modern art promoter and a photographer. I have really been into historical fiction lately, along with sci-fi and short stories. However, I feel like these genres are really broad, so every time I go to the library, I like to pick up a good array of books from all these genres so I can try them out. Y'all are probably waiting to see if I can get through a book haul without accumulating any thrillers, and I can't. Maybe one day. Probably not. But anyways, this thriller is called Eenie Meenie, and it's by MJ Arledge, and it is the first book in the Helen Grace series. I've heard really good things about the book and about the series in general, and in this one particularly, there are two people who are abducted, imprisoned, and left with one gun between the two of them, and only one of them ends up coming out alive. Our lead investigator and detective is called Helen Grace. This next book one of my friends actually recommended to me, and it is called We Love You, Charlie Freeman by Caitlin Greenidge. It is about the Freeman family, so a mom, a dad, and two kids. They are African American, and they are offered the opportunity to participate in a research study where they basically live in an apartment with a chimpanzee named Charlie. The community they move to in order to participate in this experiment is mostly white, and they feel a sense of just not belonging, and also some ethical issues start to unravel in the experiment, and the book documents both of those. If you guys remember, there is this book called And Again by Jessica Chiarella, which I really can't stop talking about, and my friend recommended this book to me because of both the social commentary and the opportunity to participate in research, so I'm really excited to get into this one. My next book is called Rare Objects by Kathleen Tesaro. It is kind of historical fiction. It's about a woman named Maeve Fanning, who is a first-generation Irish immigrant who has just survived the Great Depression. She also unwillingly becomes a patient in a psychiatric hospital. At the psychiatric hospital, she strikes up a friendship with another woman there. Maeve is more promiscuous than the average woman in the society, and she also likes to drink, which is especially looked down upon in this time in history. She gets a job selling antiques to the wealthy community in Boston. One day she is making a delivery to a house, and the person who is receiving the antique is actually the woman that she met and became friends with in the psychiatric hospital. I'm super excited to jump into this one, and I usually don't really like covers with people on them, but I think this one is really pretty. Okay, so I also picked up another another short story collection, and this one is called Beasts and Children by Amy Parker. If you guys look at this cover, it's got like cute flowers and a little hummingbird on it, but after reading the overview and some of the reviews, I've realized that this is a very dark and twisty book. It outlines the lives of 3 families that are all linked in the more bleak and dismal side of American middle class. It's also really dark and twisty and has some warnings for trigger abuse, so I did just want to put that out there in case any of you guys wanted to pick this up and found the cover a little bit misleading. Regardless, I'm not really perturbed when I personally read about any of these themes, and I'm definitely intrigued and excited to jump into this one as well. We, of course, have another thriller, and this one is called Dark Turns by Kate Houlihan. It features a woman of color as our protagonist, and her name is Nia, and she is a ballerina, which reminds me of Dance Moms. Her career, unfortunately, as a dancer gets derailed, and she ends up working at a boarding school. A little while after she starts working at the boarding school, she finds a body on campus and finds herself enveloped in kind of the motives and the actions of the supposed killer. I am extremely interested in this one because our protagonist is a woman of color, she's also a dancer, and I really like books in school settings as well. I also hauled Innocence and Others by Dana Spiotta. It is about 2 women whose names are Meadow and Carrie. They live in LA in the 1980s, and they are both filmmakers. They are friends, but they have differing opinions on sex, morality, and movie making, which I think are pretty important topics. It also has some commentary on being female and the distribution of power in the industry, so definitely some feminist themes and discussion going on in this book. In another part of the book, we meet a woman named Jelly who cold calls some Hollywood figures and ends up seducing them but never meets up with them and basically catfishes them and stops talking to them. Somehow, many years later, this woman, Jelly, becomes the subject of one of Carrie's documentaries, and we see their stories unfold. So the last thing in my haul is actually not a book at all, it is a bookmark. I did a bookmark swap with my good friend Olive over at A Book Olive, whose channel I adore. I love the way that she talks about books, so definitely go and check it out. I will leave a link in the down bar below. But let me show you guys the bookmark. I don't know if it'll show up on camera because I did take a picture of it once and it didn't really do it justice, but it is this bookmark here. I will bring it up close. It's like pink, it's got little white flowers on it, and it says Joss at the top in black sparkly letter stickers, and it's super cute. I've used it a few times, it's laminated, it definitely holds up, and I love it, so thank you so much, Olive, for sending that to me and swapping with me. That is it for this video. If you guys have any comments, questions, or anything else, please leave it down below. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!